All right, today we're going to talk about arithmetic and geometric sequences. And we have some vocabulary that we kind of need to talk about first. And it says an ordered list of numbers is called a sequence. The numbers in a sequence are terms. To refer to the nth term, meaning any term in the sequence, you can use function notation, which we know is f of x, but since we're using the letter n, we say f of n. Or the index variable a sub n. So if I were to read this, I would say a sub n. Okay, so a sub 1, a sub 2, that's how you read that. And this is how it's been tested on the STAR test. An arithmetic sequence is a sequence in which the difference between terms is constant. The difference between consecutive terms, one after another, in an arithmetic sequence is called the common difference. And so for any arithmetic sequence, a sub 1 refers to the first term, and d refers to the common difference. So it's just what's the pattern, what's happening every time. And so if I look at this example here, 1 to 5, to get there, and if I'm talking about a common difference, that means I have to add or subtract by the same number. So from 1 to 5, I am adding 4. And then from 5 to 9, I also add 4. And from 9 to 13, I add 4. Which means my common difference, d, is 4, because it's going up by 4 every time. Now, we need to make sure that we understand which term is which. So the first term is 1. The fourth term, 1, 2, 3, 4, is 13. And then I need to add 4, and I would get 17. And then it skips the sixth term, but we need to kind of add that in so we know what the seventh term is. So we add 4 to that, and we get 21. And we add 4 to that, and we get 25. So the seventh term is 25. And we're going to do the same thing on letter B. So from 7 to 5, this time we're going down, which means as a negative number, minus 2. And then from 5 to 3, I'm taking away 2, and from 3 to 1, I take away 2. So that means my common difference is negative 2. And again, my first term is 7. My second term is 5. My third term is 3. My fourth term is 1. My fifth term, well, now I need to minus 2 again. So 1 minus 2 gives me negative 1. And then, again, it skips the sixth term, but I kind of need that. So if I take away 2 again, I get negative 3. And then if I take 2 away again, I would get negative 5, which becomes my seventh term. And so arithmetic just means you're adding or subtracting by the same number every time in the sequence. All right, let's look at what a geometric sequence is. A geometric sequence is a sequence where the values is a sequence of values in which a non-zero constant ratio exists between consecutive terms. So the constant ratio is called your common ratio and is typically denoted by the letter R. Now, this time, if I'm talking about a geometric sequence, it's where you multiply and yes, divide, but really I'm going to say multiply by the same number every time. So arithmetic is adding or subtracting, and geometric is multiplying. So my examples here, from 2 to 10. Well, from 2 to 10, if I'm multiplying by 5. And if I say 10 times 5, I would get 50, and 50 times 5 is 250. So my common ratio, or R, is 5. And again, we can fill in our terms here. The first term is 2. The fourth term, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4. My fourth term is 250. And if we multiply that by 5, so let's just grab our calculator real quick. I have 250 times 5. That gives me my fifth term, which is 1,250. And then if I multiply that by 5, that's my sixth term, times 5 again is my seventh term. Okay, so there we go, I wrote out the numbers. All right, example B, how do I get from 3 to -6? Well, I have to multiply by -2. And then if I multiply by -2 again, two negatives multiply and give you a positive 12, and then times -2 would give you a -24. So my common ratio is -2. My first term is 3. This is my second term. My third term is 12. My fourth term is -24. And so to get my fifth term, it's -24 times -2, which is a positive 48. And then we keep multiplying by -2. And then my sixth term is -96. And my seventh term is 192. So it's safe to say that all of my odd number terms are going to be positive, and all my even number terms are going to be negative. All right, and the last example, the common ratio. Well, this time it's being cut in half. And I don't want to say I'm dividing by 2. Instead, my common ratio, what can I multiply to cut it in half? Well, I can multiply by 1/2. So that's my common ratio. 120 times 1/2 cuts it to 60. Cut in half again to 30, and then to 15. All right, so the first term is 120. The second term is 60. The third term is 30. The fourth term is 15. And then if I cut 15 in half, I would get a decimal, or I could leave it as 15 halves. So, all right, so we're going to just practice finding terms, figuring out if they're arithmetic or geometric. Remember, the difference between the two is that arithmetic is adding or subtracting each time, and geometric is multiplying by the same number each time.